Good evening, everyone. I guess for you, Roland, it is even later, right? What time is it for you, my friend?
Let me look at the clock. It's midnight now.
Midnight. So thank you for
Yeah,
joining
midnight.
me. So it's 4 o'clock for me, but I'm super grateful to have you here. Roland Broersen is a great friend of mine. He is from Rotterdam, the Netherlands, and I know it's not really Rotterdam. Can you tell me the real name of your city? It's near.
Yeah. Actually, I don't live in the city. Actually, I live in the countryside, and I live in an area which is called Voorne-Putten, which is one of the small islands of the Netherlands, and it's south of Rotterdam. It's the city area is called Heenvliet, but forget it. Just keep the
Well, it is
Rotterdam people
amazing.
know.
I'm actually going to show a picture that you showed on Facebook today. I'll share my screen in just a second. But I've known Roland for years now, and he is truly. If you've ever seen those commercials of the most interesting man in the world, that's this guy. So I really got to know him. I'm going to show the picture here. I'll share my screen with you guys. But I really got to know Roland when we took a river cruise around. It's actually a canal cruise around. You should be able to see my screen, right?
Yeah. I see your screen. Yeah.
So I got to meet Roland. This was almost at this exact same time last year. Even though I'd known him before, I really got to know him on the river cruise that we took. So these are some of the photos, and then the tulips, of course, are extremely famous in the Netherlands. But that picture in the middle is Roland's farm, and you have the most amazing horses. What kind of horses are those?
We've got three horses. One is an Arabic. The white one is an Arabic horse. It's quart Welsh, three quarters Arabic. The big black one is a Frisian. It's a dressage horse, and
Wow.
we got another cold blood dressage horse, and that's a stallion. And the other ones are I don't know how it's called in English when the stallion is castrated. How do you call it in English?
A gelding?
Gelding, yeah, I think so. So those are two geldings, and the other one is still a stallion. So we got three horses at this moment.
Well, that dressage one next to you is, I've got to get a bigger photo of that. That thing is amazing. How tall is that in meters?
I don't know. It's two heads above me. If he puts his head up high, I can't reach his ears. He's big. He's huge. I will send you some other pictures.
I can see some more of it. Well, one of the things that you'll see Roland has started something within our company where we do these history tours. And the first time they were talking about it, my schedule was super packed. And so I wasn't able to stay the whole time. And I feel horrible because it was the only time in the last 100 years that so many of the Rembrandt photos were in one place. And I was on an airplane like an idiot. And so we did this river cruise with Roland. You would not believe how much this guy knows, not just about the Netherlands, but all these different places. He is an avid world traveler. His interest in the great philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, and his modern, I guess, philosopher is Dan Brown. And so when we travel, it's the Dan Brown story where he says, this is where this was filmed, this is how this was done. And I can tell you, not only has he been very successful in his career, but he's made an amazing lifestyle for himself. So Roland, thank you so much for being with me.
My pleasure, Jeff. My pleasure.
Well, one of the things that I ask everybody when they come on, we've been talking a lot in the different human optimization groups about really the 4 F's, which is faith, family, fitness, and finances. And I know that you've been very, very successful, and I know that you've been very well-rounded. Something that came up to me, and I should have put those photos on. Tell me about your Japanese connection.
Oh, yes. That's a funny thing. Actually, it started when I had my first house. I somehow got attracted to Japanese garden. I wanted to build an indoor Japanese garden. Tsubani, it's called, I think. And I read this article. Those was the days before internet. You had magazines. You read magazines. You had no internet. And I read an article about a guy in Belgium who had a Japanese stone garden. So I wrote him a letter, you put it on paper, you put a stamp on it, you mail it. So I wrote him a letter, and he invited me. So I went off to Belgium to meet this guy. And when I came into his garden, it was a beautiful garden. And in the back of the garden, there was this big pound with Japanese carps. And I I instantly fell in love with it, and I had a fascination for Japan anyway. And I did some martial arts in those days, and one of the things I did was Iaido, which is called the art of drawing the sword, which you do with a real katana, and the only opponent you have is yourself, so you fight against yourself. Having real opponents with a katana will get a little bit bloody. So it was really good for me, because in those days I was very active and very not aggressive, but very present. And that gave me some good thoughts and some good things to relax, slow down, take one step at a time, which was good for me. And I practiced Iaido for 6 years until my work. I have a very successful career. What a successful career with work means, you put in a lot of time, a lot of hours. So the hobby fell a little bit back, but I did kept the Japanese carps. Eventually, I even had a business in selling and buying them. And for 12 years, every year, I went to Japan for 3 weeks to buy carps, import them from Japan to Holland and sell them. So I have a fascination for Japan. And one of the marvelous things, and it was funny because you mentioned it in a training, was Mushashin. And Mushashin was a famous Japanese warrior, and there's a book about him that's really, really great. And he became from an absolutely nobody to the most famous sword fighter in Japan. The guy that everybody wanted to beat, but nobody could beat him. And he locked himself into a cave for 3.5 years, I think it was. And in that time, he wrote the book, The Defense of the Five Rings, which was part of the Bushido, the Japanese way of the warrior. And in the mid-70s, the late 80s, the Western countries were very curious how Japanese companies could be so successful. And then they came up with this management idea with the Defense of the Five Rings, which actually was Bushido, the way of the warrior, but it was a way of creating a culture, and it was also strategic thinking. And it was funny because though that book has become a classic in traditional management, and it's a way of thinking. And it was funny that in one of our mindset trainings, you mentioned him. And I know Miyamoto Musashi very well. I didn't study the guy, but I read his books. I knew his philosophy. I knew his strategies. And it's a way of thinking. It's also a little bit, Buddhism. And it's like you have to, if you have not seen it, you cannot believe it. It has to be true. So that means that if you want to know something, you have to study it a little bit. You have to get knowledge. You have to educate yourself, and that's what I've always done. Ever since I can recall, when I want to know something, I read on up in it. I try to gain some knowledge. I try to find somebody who knows more than me about it. Because whatever problem you run into, my philosophy, the problem is already solved. Only I don't know how. So I need to find the person that can tell me how he solved that problem. And
well, there's no doubt that it's served you well within your career with it. I know that since you've started to do that, you've been extraordinarily successful in your career with it. What would you say that the main key point that you would tell a new entrepreneur that they could take from those 5 rings for them to be able to achieve the kind of success?
It's the most important one is the clear goal. You should have a clear goal. You should have a vision where you want to go. Because if you don't know where you want to go, you will never know when you get there. So you will never get there. So having a strong, my dog is barking a little bit. So you have to have a strong vision of where you want to go. That has to be clear. You have to visualize it for yourself. It's like your goal. And then you have to make a plan to get there. But it starts with the first steps of defining where you want to go. What is your goal? What do you want to achieve? Making your goals, and of course, it's all the standard rules. Make achievable goals, make them smart, etc., etc. But we did it also together within the group. Sit down and really think it over. And it is something that will evolve in time, because the goal you will create 10 years ago will not be your goal today. So it evolves, and in the sessions we did, I spent 4 or 5 days in coming up with my 5 reasons why I want to do this, what I'm doing now. And then again, there again, it came back to me that you have to go very deep into yourself. You have to go very deep to get to the essence of what you want to do and why you want to do it. And if you have answers those questions, the next steps become easy. But the first part is the most difficult. And what I see within our business is that a lot of people skip that, or they fill in the politically correct answer because that's what they need to do.
I want to help other people. I want to do that. And
Or
people need to focus a lot on themselves in this process then, because you're right. The politically correct answer is, I want to save the world. I want world peace. I want everybody to get along. What do you think that should be an example of a very definitive goal that a new person, especially a new entrepreneur, even an established entrepreneur that wants more success?
The funny thing is that they always talk about money. That's one. They always have a financial goal, but money is not the goal. Money is a mean. Money is a tool to get something you really, really want. So I think, when you mature, and I'm 60, I'm 57, 57. The older you get, you start realizing that health is way more important than anything else. Yeah. So for me, my primary goal, and that's what I also like in the whole philosophy we do, I need to get my health back. I'm not unhealthy, but I'm overweight, I'm obese, I exercise too little, and there's always an excuse not to train. But for me, my important goal is that I need to live to be 100, and I need to travel till the age of 90 or whatever. And in order to do that, I need to work on my health. And if I don't do that, nothing else can follow from that. Next to that, I've got very clear goals. I've got very specific goals. I've got places where I want to go, things I want to do there. I could paint a picture of what I want to see, where I want to go. I want to build an outdoor kitchen. I want to prepare the best Kobe beefs you can think of. If I think of it, I can smell them. That's how I visualize my goals. But it's not only the goals. Making goals is one, and you can put them on paper, and paper is patient. No, you have to come up with an action plan. You have to come up with actions to do. And there is no standard approach. Everybody will do it slightly differently. And I am in sales most of my business life, and I know how to sell something. But what I see within our industry is that people sell too much. You should not sell, you should become attractive so people would buy from you. And a very simple example, if you walk into a store, and everybody has had that in the past, sometimes you walked into a store to get some information, and there was a sales guy, and he told you into a product. So you bought a product, you left the store with the product, and on your way out you thought, gosh, did I really need this? But you bought it. So from commercial perspective, you could say this is a good sales guy, he made the deal. But another story is, you go into a store, you get some information. There's a sales guy giving you information on the questions you have. He's giving you several options. You make the choice to take one of those options. You buy that, you leave the store, and you're very happy with your product because you picked the product and the guy guided you to make your choice. If you have to buy something again, to which salesman will you go back? The first one or the second one? And that's what I see within our industry, is that people are in their planning too much focus on making the sale and not enough in guiding people. And guiding people, in my view, in my profession, you need to do that by become an authority. You need to become a trusted advisor. You need to become the guy they go to if they want to know something about whatever you are selling. And that's what I see in the business that we are doing, that just be clear on where you want to go, what you want to do, and share it with other people, and you will be surprised how many people will come to you because they are also interested in the same subject. And then they come to you and then they buy from you, which is something totally different than you try to sell something to them. And I see in our business, people are too much pushy to sell.
Let me give you a quote today. You talked about a couple different things with it, and you're absolutely right. Becoming an authority so you attract people to you. rather than trying to force them into something that they may not want. You talk a lot about your health with it, and you've had a lot of success with your sales career. You've been able to travel the world. You've been able to see amazing things with it. Today in a training we did, I gave a quote by Jack LaLanne, and it says, your health account is like your bank account. The more you put in, the more you can take out. And one of the things that, I'm 48, and about 10 years ago, I made health a giant priority for me. And what do you, the wake up call for me was I'd been to Taiwan 3 times, and I'd never left other than the airport to my office there and to my hotel. I'd never left more than a 2-kilometer area. And I'd been to Taiwan I'd been there 3 times, and I have not been back since. So although I've been to Taiwan 3 times, I never really got to see anything. I started to do a realization and take a self-assessment of my health. And I started realizing at 36, I had high cholesterol. I was starting to have lower back problems. And I had neglected my health in going for a business goal. And the business goal didn't end up working out at that particular time. But I had sacrificed so much of my health in the process. What do you tell a brand new entrepreneur, or even an established entrepreneur, someone who's made a lot of money, who now your focus is shifting to getting your health back? What do you recommend to the new person as we talk about these different main areas of life?
Yeah, I normally try to speak with them, and it's a little bit depending on where they are and what age they are, because the younger they are, the more difficult it is. Because if I
think you're bulletproof.
Yeah, because I always thought that I was bulletproof. I never had major illness. I never had major accidents, whatever. So in my youngest day, I was in the military. I've been 8 years in the military, or seven years in the military. And I always saw myself as this G.I. Joe, invincible, bulletproof guy who could walk through walls. And I could when I was young. But now I have a farm. You show the pictures. I've got a lot of land, and there's work to do. And I noticed that it's becoming more and more difficult to put in the time and the effort to do the work. And it's body weight. It's body weight. I notice when I'm gonna buy clothes and I'm in the room where you fit your clothes, and I look in the mirror and say, "Gosh, you're getting fat, my man." You're getting fat. So it is those small things that realize you, but then suddenly you start thinking, I'm 57. So you're gonna average age is 84, 85, 86. That's average age. And getting old is not the issue, but getting old and staying mobile, able to travel, that's the issue. Yeah. And I know for sure what I'm doing now, if I carry on this path, I will get a heart attack and I will die premature, and I will not travel the place where I want to go. And I will very much disappoint my wife, my daughter, and myself. So I came to the realization that it is about health, and it's cliche. Health is your biggest asset. Your body is your temple. Everybody knows the quotes. But as long as you, what happened to me is year on year I gain a kilo.
Sure.
Year on year you gain a kilo, and then if you don't switch the button, it stays on. And getting off is becoming more difficult. So
I know that this has been a goal of yours, and that's obviously part of the own life training that we're talking about, is making sure that fitness is a part of the whole picture. It's also, there's a lot of correlation between financial success and the person that starts to take their body success as a big part of that. Just to kind of wrap up, one of the things that you talked about, you've talked about your dream vacation. What is your next dream vacation? As you get your body, as you continue to, you've got the finances, you've got a great family, you've got some people that are trusted comrades around you, but now you're talking about this spectacular vacation. This last time we talked, where's that going to be?
Yeah, I've got a list. I've got a list of locations, and we're doing them one at a time. But the one that I really want to do with my wife, my lovely wife, Mildred, I want to take her to Iceland.
Yeah.
We want to dance under the Northern Light. We want to go to the mineral, the spas. We want to go to the geysers, and And Iceland is a very special island. It is so different than anywhere else. And it is on her bucket list for a long time. So I definitely want to take her there. But my list is endless, Jeff. We are planning Paris. We are planning Rome, and we're not just going to go to Paris. We're going to do some special things. We're not going to just go to Rome. We're going to see some things. I'm going to make a video. When you
go to Rome and you go to Paris, you need to let me know, because you know a lot more about those places than me. Yeah. And my wife would love it. Last time I went to the Louvre, that is overwhelming how much stuff is there. And what I tell everybody that traveling with Roland truly is spectacular. And Roland, I'm super grateful that you'd come on with it, and I know that you've had a tremendous amount of success. And now, as you start to go on this physical journey, we'll be there with you. And that's the amazing part of a group, of this mastermind mindset that we have of helping one another. There's some people in our group that are able to help you in certain areas, but your financial success that you've been able to have has been amazing. The knowledge that you can mentor others with has been impressive, and we're grateful to have you a part of our mentoring and a part of what we do. I appreciate you being on with me so late at your time tonight.
It's totally my pleasure, because it's always fun to talk to you, Jeff, because you are also, for me, a very big inspiration. You showed the pictures in the call earlier today, and I said, gosh, it could be me, but I was not that skinny. I was fat. I need to become more muscular. So it is a pleasure to work, and also the team is inspiring, and it is not just one person, it's the team. And I've got a very good sponsor, John Lucardi. He's also family for me. And together with him, I travel a lot, I do a lot, and we have both the same problem.
It's a lot more fun when we do it together, that's for sure. So thank you so much for being with me today.
It was my pleasure, Jeff. Thank you.
Good night, Roland.
Okay, bye-bye.